Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Meet the Blind. I'm Andrew Columbro here again from SAAVI Services for the Blind, and I'm currently an intern here. I'm here joined by Katie Gomez from SAAVI. Katie, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, how's it going so far?
So far, so good. Can't complain.
Yeah. So just talking a little briefly, just so people get to know you better right off the bat, what is your role at SAAVI?
I am SAAVI's statewide rehabilitation counselor. I am also the program coordinator for senior services. So that means that I coordinate all of the training and intake of all of our individuals who are 55 and older who are needing individual training for independent living blind skills.
Gotcha, nice. And I know for a fact that you were at one time a SAAVI student yourself. Maybe just talk a little bit about how you got into SAAVI and how did you hear about it?
Sure. I heard about SAAVI after I experienced or started to experience some vision loss from a lawyer who said, you have to go there. You have to go get training. Surprisingly, like my retina specialist, the doctors, they didn't say anything about getting any type of training. So when the lawyer said, check this place out, call vocational rehab, I got on the phone, I called and did a tour. I had to wait a little while to get into services because there was a freeze going on. But once I got in, I started the comprehensive day program, as it was called at that time, and received training in all different areas, including assistive technology, so learning to use the computer with different software that would allow me to effectively use it in the workplace. I learned Braille, I learned orientation and mobility, so how to use a cane to navigate my environment safely. Independent living skills, so, learning different techniques in the kitchen and how to maintain my house, using techniques that would make it a lot easier given the newfound vision loss that I had incurred. At that time, I was, my daughter was like 2 years old. So it was a lot to take on, but it gave me a huge sense of independence that I had lost. So being able to gain all those skills or regain those skills in a new way really changed my life. It really did.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And I think it's so cool that you were able to not only be a student, but now you're doing work for SAAVI. Can you maybe talk about how that connects, that connection, or how do you feel about so far with your experience with SAAVI now that you're working, and how has that changed?
Right. So when I was a client at SAAVI, one of the classes that I participated in was career exploration. I had to quit working at the construction firm that I was working at as an estimator's assistant because I couldn't see well enough to do what I had been doing. And I wasn't sure what I could do from that point. So going through the job readiness and career exploration classes really helped me identify what I wanted to do. And the rehabilitation counselor I had, who was working at SAAVI at the time, kind of inspired me and helped me kind of whittle down my choices. And I've always liked helping people, giving advice to people who wanted it, and seeing people make positive changes in their lives. And this was a great way for me to do that. So I talked to my vocational rehabilitation counselor at the time, and they said, well, why don't you go to school and get your master's in rehabilitation counseling, and the state will help you pay for that. So I was like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. I'm not going to give up this opportunity. So at the age of, I don't remember, it was like 36 or something, I went back to university and got my master's. and all the while working at SAAVI doing case management. And then once I graduated with my master's and received my certification in rehabilitation counseling, they kept me on and allowed me to do the counseling in our Tucson office. And now I'm doing counseling statewide.
That's awesome. That's such a cool story.
So I love being able to help people who are going through the same type of situation that I myself experienced. And I believe that helps the clients have a better connection and feel perhaps like they're more understood versus working with a counselor who is completely sighted, who hasn't experienced adjustment to disability, you know? Yeah. So I am very fortunate to completely love what I do. And I love working for SAAVI. It's a great, we're a family, you know?
Yeah.
It's a great place.
Yeah. And with that, I know this is a little bit off topic, but this is going enough with what you do during work and outside, but also alongside with some of the things that you enjoy doing on your free time. I know that you are that you love going to Hawaii, you love traveling to the islands. Maybe talking about your story with that and why that is.
Right. So I went to Hawaii the first time when I was, I think, 15. We went to a few different islands. And I just fell in love with the tropical air, the flowers, the music, the people, the food, and just the aloha spirit. And so I started to feel like homesick when we would come home from Hawaii. When we'd come back to Tucson, I'd feel homesick. I'm not from Hawaii, but I felt homesick, you know? And so, my parents and I, we planned several other trips and have taken several other trips there. I went there on my honeymoon. My daughter and I have gone. My brother and I have taken trips there. It's been kind of a fun family thing to do. And I look forward to going again. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'm ready. Anytime anybody wants to go, I'm ready.
Yeah. Sure. What's your, I gotta ask, what's your favorite island?
Oh man, Maui has always been my favorite island. It has changed drastically since the first time I went when I was 15. So that was like almost 30 years ago. Yeah. Well, that's scary to say. But you know, it's gotten bigger. There's a lot more traffic. It's lost a little bit of like, you know, some of the smaller towns are now more big and more populated. But it's still beautiful. It's still very beautiful.
Of course. And talking with that, with family, I know you have a 12-year-old daughter, and I know family means a lot to you. So maybe just talk a little bit about, your family background.
Sure. Well, I was born and raised here in Tucson. My parents live here in Tucson, not too far away, and you know, I'm grateful I get to be with them as often as I can. But I have a 12-year-old daughter. I'm a single mom, and she is like a mini me, except for she's taller than me now. And oh man, she's 12 going on 22 and thinks she knows it all, but we're working on it. But yeah, she loves Hawaii too. Other things that we have in common that we do together. We have a dog, and you know, we're constantly playing with our dog and watch TV together, and she loves to paint. She's really into doing makeup. That's what she wants to be when she's older, as a cosmetologist. So I'm constantly her model and get to have my makeup done, which is great. But yeah, it's a blast being a mom. My favorite job in the world. Not always the easiest one, but it's my favorite.
I understand. And I think with that, that about wraps up this episode of Meet the Blind. Katie, thank you so much for your time and effort. I really appreciate it. And
thank you for including me in this project. It's been great.
Of course, yeah. Have a good rest of your day. And remember, here at SAAVI, it's not what you can see, it's about who you are.